Welcome to the Life After Sugar podcast, the podcast that's not just about sugar, but about your relationship with it and also with food and especially with yourself. So if you want to discover your life after sugar and hear inspiring stories from all kinds of people who also cut out sugar in their way, at their pace, for their own reasons, this is the podcast for you. Because when you take away the sugar, you can finally discover the real sweetness in your life. I'm your host, Netta Gorman. And in this episode, I want to give you a few of my favorite recipes. And believe me, I'm no Masterchef. I don't spend hours slaving over a hot stove. And even though I do enjoy cooking, what I enjoy even more is really flavorful, good quality foods. And I can tell you this, it really doesn't have to take a ton of time to prepare nutritious, delicious, sugar-free meals. So I'll give you a few of my favorite recipes in just a minute. But first, I just wanted to tell you that if you're looking for some free resources, then I have plenty for you. First, download my 5 tips to get rid of cravings. And those 5 tips may not be what you think they are. So go to aftersugarclub.com and download your 5 tips today. And while you're at aftersugarclub.com, why not take the cravings quiz? I created this cravings quiz specifically to help you start thinking more deeply about what triggers your cravings. And when you do this quiz, you'll get your personalized score as well as my practical tips to help you take your first step to get rid of cravings. Those free resources are at aftersugarclub.com. And also, come check out the Life After Sugar Facebook page and subscribe to the Life After Sugar YouTube channel, as well as my Instagram account at My Life After Sugar, which is where you'll get all kinds of inspiration so that you can see that it's perfectly possible to live a happy and active life even if you don't eat sugar. You can also check out my TikTok account at Netta_lifeaftersugar. All right, so let's get to some of my favorite recipes.
These are a few of my favorite things.
I want to start off with some breakfast ideas and recipes. And even though I personally don't eat breakfast anymore because I just don't get hungry in the morning, when I was still eating sugar, I used to be starving in the morning. I couldn't wait to have something to eat, and it was usually toast or cereal or some kind of sweetened yogurt. There was no way I was eating plain yogurt. And I remember I used to be so cranky if I didn't have my breakfast right after my shower, within 20 minutes of waking up. And now, as I said, I just don't get hungry in the morning. But it took a while for me to get there, and the idea of eating a savory breakfast instead of a sweet breakfast felt, really weird for me. So if the idea feels strange to you too, you're in good company. And when I say breakfast, it doesn't have to be in the morning. It can be literally what breakfast means. In other words, the first meal of your day or when you break your fast. Even if your fast is just the hours that you're asleep. The thing is to start the day with delicious foods that give you energy, fill you up, and don't spike your blood sugar. For example, here's a recipe for chaffles. Now, chaffles are actually cheese waffles that you can make quickly and use instead of bread. All you need are 2 large eggs, 1 cup of finely shredded mozzarella or cheddar cheese, and a little butter. If you have a waffle iron, it's even better. You preheat the waffle iron, you whisk the egg and the cheese in a medium bowl, then put a little butter in the waffle iron, pour about 1/4 of the mixture into the waffle iron and close it and cook for 2 to 3 minutes or until golden. Then remove the chaffles and repeat for the remaining batter. These are completely flour-free and you can serve them as waffles, maybe with plain yogurt and fruit, but without the syrup, or use them as bread for sandwiches. I'll put the recipe in the show notes with this episode. Another good breakfast recipe is what I call bell pepper eggs, and this is also popular with kids. You take 1 bell pepper, or more depending, and slice it into 1/4-inch thick rings. If you have 6 rings, then you need 6 eggs. You also need salt to taste, freshly ground black pepper to taste, and 2 tablespoons of chopped chives, optional, and 2 tablespoons of chopped parsley, which is also optional. Here are the directions. Heat a non-stick skillet over medium heat and grease with butter or olive oil. Then place a bell pepper ring in the skillet and saute it for 2 minutes. Then flip the pepper ring and crack an egg in the middle. Season with salt and pepper and then cook until the egg is cooked to your liking, about 2 to 4 minutes. Then repeat with the other eggs inside of the bell pepper rings and garnish with chives and parsley if desired. You'll see that it's really cute because the bell pepper rings can be red or orange or yellow or green, and it makes for a really cute, nutritious, and colourful breakfast. In fact, you could eat it or make it for your kids for lunch or for any other time of the day. If you're not a fan of eggs, or if you're allergic to eggs, and you're not a fan of plain yogurt, you can still buy plain yogurt, or even better, make it yourself, and add a hint of sweetness yourself. Because let's face it, the food industry adds way more sugar or sweeteners than you would. So what can you add to plain yogurt or plain milk kefir? How about fruit? Maybe cut up, but not necessarily liquidized or pureed, because then the sugar gets absorbed much, much faster in the body, and you want to keep that sugar absorption as slow as possible. You can also add nut butter, mixed nuts, unsweetened coconut flakes, or ground chia and flax seeds. Chia and flax are a great source of fiber, or you can make my homemade sugar-free jam. Now, unlike the processed food industry, when I say sugar-free, it really is sugar-free. Here's what you need. 2 cups of any type of fruit. I often use frozen fruit like blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, or a mix. 1/4 cup of lime or lemon juice, 1 tablespoon of water, the zest from 1 lime or lemon, and 2 tablespoons of chia seeds. You can use whole black seeds or white. Put the fruit, the lime or lemon juice, and water in a small saucepan over a medium heat and bring to a simmer. Then reduce the heat to medium-low and simmer uncovered for a few minutes. And I'll tell you a secret, when I'm in a rush, I just skip this step. Turn off the heat and let the mixture cool a bit, and then put it in a blender and lightly blend the fruit. Or you can even crush the fruit with a fork. Then you pour the mixture into a clean jar and stir in the chia seeds and the lime or the lemon zest. And let everything cool a little bit more before you cover the jar and place the mixture in the fridge. In a few hours, or overnight, the mixture will thicken. And if you want it even thicker, you just need to put a little bit more chia seeds. The chia seeds absorb a lot of the liquid of the fruit and act like pectin, except chia is full of fiber. You can experiment with all types of different flavors, like fresh grated ginger or orange zest, cranberries, even chili peppers, cacao powder, coffee. Be creative. And this jam keeps for 2 to 3 weeks in the fridge. In fact, you can see me make this recipe on the Life After Sugar YouTube channel. I'll give you some more of my favorite recipes after this short break. I want to take a quick break to say that if this is your first time here, then welcome and thank you for listening to this podcast. And whether you're new or a regular and you haven't yet rated or reviewed this podcast, could I ask you to scroll down and tap on the stars to rate this podcast and also to write a short review to let me know how this podcast is helping you in your life after sugar. I love reading your reviews, and when you rate and review this podcast, not only does it encourage me to continue making new episodes, but it also helps to share this podcast and have more people see it so that we can help more people feel better and lose weight with less sugar. So again, thank you for rating and reviewing this podcast and for spreading the word about sugar. All right, here are a few more of my favorite recipes.
These are a few of my favorite things.
And by the way, right from the beginning of the Freedom from Cravings Formula program, that's my 90-day program to help you get rid of cravings, slim down, and finally feel in control around food. Well, right at the beginning of the program, I give 28 simple, delicious, sugar-free recipes for you to keep forever. And one of those recipes is called an easy bean bowl. Basically, all you need is 1 cup of beans of your choice, 1 tablespoon of pesto, mix them together and serve on a bed of veggies. One of my favorite cooking aids is my slow cooker. It's a lifesaver because I have a lot going on in my life. I take 5 minutes in the morning to put in a piece of meat like bone-in pork shoulder or another cheap cut of meat like blade roast, a few garlic cloves, a little salt, and herbs like dried thyme or basil or rosemary or a mix, maybe some vegetables or a can of tomatoes. I place the meat in the slow cooker in the morning and set it to the lowest heat. And then, when I get home 8 hours or so later, everything's ready. I can make pulled pork, pulled beef, tacos for the family, or any type of dish because the main ingredient is cooked, tender, and delicious. And sometimes what makes all the difference is a marinade or a sauce. For example, an Italian herb marinade can be made with olive oil, balsamic vinegar or red wine vinegar, fresh basil, fresh rosemary, fresh parsley, or you can use dried, minced garlic, oregano, sea salt, and pepper. You whisk the ingredients together in a bowl and pour over chicken or meat, either in a bowl or you can also use a Ziploc bag, and then you refrigerate and let the meat marinate for at least 3 hours before cooking. Then you can grill it, pan fry it, barbecue it, air fry it, or bake it. You can also make extra because this marinade can be frozen. In fact, I make extra and put it in an ice cube tray and then just defrost 1 or 2 cubes at a time. And you can also use this marinade as a salad dressing. And one last recipe that I want to share with you is my yummy flourless hollandaise sauce. Now, I didn't invent this sauce. It's actually how the French make it, with no flour. You need 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, 2 tablespoons of water, 4 egg yolks, 1 cup of melted butter, and salt and pepper to taste. This recipe requires a little bit of skill because you need a double boiler. That means a saucepan with hot water in it and a bowl over the saucepan. So in the bowl, which is on top of a saucepan of simmering water, you whisk the lemon juice with the water and egg yolks until it becomes thick and fluffy. Then you remove the bowl from the double boiler, remove it from the heat, and off the heat, drizzle in the melted butter, whisking constantly. It's a really good workout for your arm. Then you season the hollandaise sauce with salt and pepper and keep it aside at room temperature. If you're not serving it straight away, then you can reheat the sauce on top of the double boiler over simmering water and whisk just for a few seconds, especially if the sauce has separated a little bit. I serve the sauce with salmon, with fish, with vegetables, with egg dishes like Eggs Benedict. I eat it with just about anything because it's so yummy. And because it has no sugar, even though it has a lot of butter and egg yolks, it won't spike your insulin. And because insulin is the hormone that is responsible for fat storage in the body, the good news is that when you eat foods that don't spike your insulin, you're far less likely to gain weight or gain body fat. And I know that we were told for years and years that eating fat causes weight gain, but actually, human biology dictates that this is just not true. And in fact, studies have borne this out. You're far more likely to put on weight eating sugar and even flour that spikes your blood sugar and your insulin than you are eating a little bit of butter and egg yolks. Okay, but what about the cholesterol in egg yolks? Well, what we've been told about cholesterol, for example, that eating eggs significantly raises cholesterol levels and increases the risk of heart disease, turns out to be a myth, because it's not the cholesterol in food that raises blood cholesterol levels. In fact, cholesterol is necessary in the body in order for it to function properly. And the body is perfectly capable of creating its own cholesterol. And dietary cholesterol has little to no impact on blood cholesterol. And what have studies found does raise blood cholesterol levels? Well, there's no one cause, but one of the factors is inflammation. And you guessed it, sugar is one of the most inflammatory foods. And research suggests that inflammation contributes to heart disease more than cholesterol. And then when cholesterol levels are high, this creates more inflammation. So what can you do? Well, reducing sugar and creating your own collection of sugar-free recipes, like the ones I gave you today, is a great place to start. But cutting down or cutting out sugar is much easier said than done. And in my experience, the most difficult step is the first step. And that's why I'm inviting you to take the Cravings Quiz. It's a 10-question quiz that I created especially to get you thinking a little deeper about your cravings. That's the first step. And if you want to go deeper and get the guidance and accountability that you need to get rid of your cravings, slim down, and finally feel in control around food, then the Freedom from Cravings Formula 90-day program could be exactly what you need. In the program, you'll get step-by-step guidance and customized support through the 5-step formula that I've developed to help you get control over cravings so that you can finally live your life with more energy and fit into your favorite clothes effortlessly and feel confident in your food choices so that you can ditch the shame and embarrassment that you feel every time your emotions make you slip or fall off the wagon, and so that you never feel like you're on some kind of a restrictive diet. If you're at the stage of your life where you're finally ready to look after yourself, Let's chat. You can hop on a free clarity call with me at any time by going to aftersugarclub.com and clicking on Program at the top. You'll also find the link with the show notes together with this episode. So go to aftersugarclub.com. Speak soon. That's it for this week. Keep in touch and see you soon for another episode.